So let's talk about, as I said, how profitable the PIB it will be for not just the oil and gas industry, but for the economy as a whole. But let's focus now on the oil and gas industry. Of course, this is not something that is hidden. It's public knowledge how instrumental this bill, when passed, will be for the oil and gas industry. But let's highlight some of those fine points.
Well, the key thing, as I told you, is first of all, I think you should look at the question from the negative standpoint. What the damage to the industry if you don't do it. And one of the first things I highlighted to you is the fact that you are losing over $100 billion in terms of investment in the sector. Because oil is not, like any technology, it's not a stagnant technology. You continue to invest in the technology to make the processes easier, which is why fracking cracked the shale mystery. Shale for a long time didn't look like it was going to happen. But with investments in new technologies, it's now happened. We're hoping that the price war would take them out of the market, but I can assure you they're not going to be sleeping. They're going to make sure they continue to improve on the technology so the threshold for making shale oil profitable also falls lower. So this is the same thing we should be doing here. We must continue to, even shale is off the Lagos coast. Let's face it, there's so much we can do. Then secondly, in terms of our reserves, we have projected about 40 billion barrels. But again, because we're not investing in the sector, we're well short of that target. I think we're right around about 35 billion, which really is not bad, but given where we could have been, we could really have done a lot better than we're doing. Because don't forget, your overall economic well-being is tied to your resources, generally speaking, whether it's agriculture, oil, or whatever. So our general economic outlook is impacted on the fact that we're not maximizing this area. Then also don't forget our target to produce 4 million barrels a day. We're still at 2.27. We could so easily have done 4 if this PIB had been passed. So those are the areas we're making losses. The contribution of oil to overall GDP is also dropping. So if you check the last figures from the National Bureau of Statistics, it's dropping. So there's so much. These are the fine points we're losing.
So how come
by
we
simply
can't?
not doing? Yeah, why
Can't
our
we?
legislators saying this?
Why can't we even just imitate other countries who have, for instance, successfully, put a bill like this together and passed it?
It's frustrating because the primordial sentiments at times we express in this country over serious issues bothers me. When others are building, we are more concerned with sharing, and that's the bane of most of our policies. They are fine, but when it comes, the people you entrust to do them don't see beyond.
And it looks like most likely it's not going to be passed.
You're going to give me this, you're going to give me that. But look, we need much better quality.
But then, even we need much better.
Serious things like this.
We do.
Please.
But then at the end of the day, election is less than 2 months away.
Sure.
So it's looking like there's a possibility that when they resume for plenary, they might not even deliberate on this bill anymore.
Well, I've told you the technical problems here. If the House stands dissolved, as Section 64 of the Constitution anticipates, then we're going to start all over. However, if the House rules that provide for continuity, there's some sort of legal somersault that can be done to make that happen, then perhaps they can take off from where they've stopped. But then you might get a whole host of new legislators who need to be lobbied afresh about doing what is good for them and for Nigeria, and that's a big pity.
But the legislators are going to come in with the knowledge that the PIB is already on. Of course, they know the issues on the PIB, so they're going to have to orientate themselves or reorientate themselves, so to speak. But in line with what we are seeing on a global scale, should we expect that or hope that they'll practically hit the ground running, and the first thing now that they'll try to do to try to see how they can protect the economy, that critical part of the economy, the oil and gas industry, will be to pass the PIB bill.
I can tell them one thing for free. If they don't do what they need to do with regard to the PIB, they won't even have money to spend. They can budget the much they like. Their checks will be bouncing all over the place. The government will have to curb its spending because the resort to taking money from the excess crude fund. In fact, that fund is not even going to be there because it's no longer excess crude. We're looking at a deficit position. So really, you don't need to beg them. They better do what is sensible for every one of us. Past this, we've lost so much time, we've lost so much advantage, but it's better late than never, as they say. We just must pass this and move on.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Etomi, for joining me on the program and sharing your thoughts with us as well. It's been an interesting conversation. Of course, I know we're going to have this conversation
we'll be
again.
back, I know that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Well, Judge Etomi is an oil and gas lawyer. He's also the former chairman, section on business law of the Nigeria Bar Association. He joined me on the program to look at the Petroleum Industry Bill and some of the issues, of course, that we know have come up in the last couple of days, particularly the fact that oil prices have been dwindling, and now more than ever, it's become important to ensure that the Petroleum Industry Bill is passed, to ensure that we do not continue to lose out. But that's the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Harriet Agbenyi.